All right, let's talk about AI. The whole world is on fire with it. We're hearing about trillion-dollar ambitions, mind-boggling spending. It all feels a little familiar, doesn't it? So today, we're going to dig past all that hype to get to the surprising truth, the real-world physical limits that are actually keeping this whole AI boom from popping, at least for now.
I mean, you see the headlines, right? Tech giants are just pouring insane amounts of cash into AI infrastructure. And it's got everyone asking the same thing. Are we in a giant, speculative bubble that's just waiting to burst? Because, let's be honest, the numbers, they look really, really frothy.
But here's where it gets interesting. According to a really deep dive into the supply chain, while there's definitely some foam, we are nowhere near the peak. Think of it like this. If this is the dot-com bubble all over again, the party's just getting started. We're in 1998, and things are about to get a whole lot wilder.
So let's unpack this. To really get why everyone's a little on edge, you just got to follow the money. And right now, the amount of cash being thrown around is, well, it's absolutely staggering, especially when you look at the biggest players in tech.
Okay, let's just take Google as an example. We're talking about their capital spending almost doubling in just a single year, shooting up from around $50 billion to over $90 billion. And they're not stopping there. They've already said next year is going to be even bigger. You can see why this kind of spending spree has all the bubble watchers really nervous.
But here's the crazy part. It seems like the industry has figured out a way to solve its own funding problem. It's like they've built this weird, self-fueling financial engine, a perpetual motion machine almost, that makes this boom totally different from anything we've seen before.
Okay, so check this out. It's this beautiful, almost perfect circle. Step 1. OpenAI needs a ton of computing power, so they place these massive orders with Oracle. Step 2. Oracle needs the hardware, so they turn around and buy billions of dollars worth of chips from, you guessed it, NVIDIA. And here's the brilliant twist. Step 3, NVIDIA takes the huge profits it just made and invests it right back into OpenAI. It's wild, right? NVIDIA is literally funding its own #1 customer.
And this whole cycle really crystallizes in what's being called the Stargate deal. So let's break down the math, because it's pretty wild. For OpenAI to build a gigawatt of computing power, it costs them, let's say, $50 billion. Out of that $50 billion, $20 billion goes straight to NVIDIA for chips. Now, NVIDIA's profit on that is about $10 billion. And here's the genius part. NVIDIA takes that $10 billion in profit and just plows it right back into OpenAI as an investment. Boom! Just like that, the biggest money problem holding OpenAI back from its craziest ambitions, it's gone.
Okay, so if money is basically an infinite loop, you've got to be asking, what's stopping this whole thing from just spinning completely out of control into a massive bubble? Well, it turns out the real roadblocks, they're not financial at all. They're physical. We're talking about two major real-world breaks that are slowing everything down.
And this right here, this captures the core tension of the entire AI industry perfectly. On one side, you have these limitless, almost sci-fi level ambitions. And on the other, you have the cold, hard reality of the physical world we live in. An electricity grid that's already maxed out and some serious manufacturing bottlenecks.
So let's dive into those two bottlenecks, okay? First up, power, electricity. AI data centers are already gobbling up 4% of all the power in the US, and they need way, way more. It's gotten so bad that Microsoft CEO is on record saying it's the thing that keeps him up at night. Then you've got the manufacturing side, the absolute best tech for packaging AI chips, this thing called CoOS from a company called TSMC. It's in super short supply. And TSMC is, being cautious. They don't want to build a bunch of brand new factories for technology that might be outdated in just a couple of years.
And here's the paradox, right? These roadblocks, they're actually a good thing for keeping the market stable. It's like the foam on a beer, it keeps the whole thing from just spilling over. These physical limits are forcing a slower, more measured pace of growth. They're adding stability and, honestly, preventing this bubble from getting so big that it just has to pop.
All right, so with all that as the backdrop, the actual battlefield, the competitive landscape is getting super interesting. A full-on war for dominance is heating up, and it's being fought on a bunch of different fronts. Believe me, it is not just the NVIDIA show anymore.
Now, you'd probably think NVIDIA's main competition is, AMD or maybe Intel, but that's not the case. The real threat, the one they're probably most worried about, is Google. For more than a decade, Google has been quietly building out its own complete AI ecosystem. They have their own custom chips, these TPUs. They have their own models, their own hardware, and get this, even their own super unique networking tech. It gives them a totally different and, frankly, a very powerful way to tackle AI at a massive scale.
Meanwhile,
you've got this other battle heating up in the manufacturing world. TSMC, they basically have a monopoly on making the most advanced chips, and they've been jacking up prices like crazy. So that's created this huge push. Customers like NVIDIA and Google are desperate for another option. And at the same time, you've got this pull from the US government, which really wants this stuff made domestically. And right in the middle of that push and pull, you've got Intel, and this is their golden opportunity to make a serious comeback.
So, okay, while all these chip wars are playing out, a whole new frontier of problems is already coming into view. When we look past, say, 2026, the biggest hurdles aren't going to be about money or supply chains anymore. We're talking about running headfirst into the fundamental laws of physics and some major engineering challenges.
Yeah, to build what comes next, these companies are going to have to master a completely new playbook. We're talking about solving power with 800-volt DC systems. We're talking about totally new ways to package chips, like at the panel level, and completely redesigning how data moves around with things like silicon photonics. Seriously, any one of these would be a monumental engineering achievement.
So let's just take one of those, silicon photonics. Sometimes it's called co-packaged optics, or CPO. What is it? Well, it's about completely changing how chips talk to each other. Instead of pushing electricity through tiny copper wires, you're embedding little optical components right onto the chip to send data as flashes of light. This is the key, the only way to break through the data traffic jams that are holding back today's systems. And everyone expects this to be an absolute game changer right around 2027.
So, what's the big takeaway here? It's this. We are absolutely entering a new era. The race to build the future of AI isn't going to be won by the company with the most money anymore. No, it's going to be won by the team that can solve these insane physical and engineering problems first. So the question we should all be asking isn't just who can afford to build the future, it's who is actually smart enough to invent it.